Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained? Like someone just reached inside and stole your peace of mind? Maybe it's a neighbor who always complains, a family member who twists your words, or someone who just seems to bring a cloud wherever they go. As we grow older, we begin to value something more precious than money, success, or recognition, and that's peace. At this stage in life, we've earned the right to protect our emotional well-being. But what do you do when someone toxic just won't stop poking, provoking, or dragging you down? Fighting back with anger rarely works. It only gives them what they want: your attention, your energy, and your control. But what if you could take the power back, calmly, confidently, and without ever raising your voice? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. You're about to learn 13 powerful questions, quiet but mighty, that can disarm toxic people, flip the dynamic, and protect your peace without a single argument. And don't worry, you don't have to memorize them all today. Just take what resonates and let the rest come with time. Let's begin with something simple yet surprisingly effective. Imagine someone comes to you and starts criticizing you. Maybe they say something like, "You never call anymore," or "You always make everything about you." Instead of getting defensive or trying to explain, try asking this: "Why do you feel that way?" This question does two things. First, it shifts the spotlight back onto them. Second, it forces them to reflect, not react. Most toxic people are used to controlling the conversation. But when you calmly ask them to explain themselves, it slows the moment down. You're not attacking, you're asking. And in that moment, they lose the upper hand. You've just created space. Space where you can breathe, think, and choose how to respond, instead of being pulled into their storm. Now here's another one that works wonders. What outcome are you hoping for right now? Ask it gently, not sarcastically. Ask it like you genuinely want to understand. Because often, toxic people don't even know why they're lashing out. They're reacting to old wounds, bad habits, or internal storms. This question puts the mirror in front of them. It helps them pause and realize maybe they don't want to fight either. Or maybe they do. And if they do, that tells you everything you need to know. You get clarity without the chaos. And for someone who's lived enough years to know what matters, that clarity is gold. Have you ever been guilt-tripped by someone who says, "After all I've done for you," or "You wouldn't be here if it weren't for me"? It's a cheap tactic, but it's surprisingly effective, especially when it comes from family. In moments like that, instead of saying sorry or getting caught up in emotional knots, ask this instead: "Are you saying I owe you something?" Again, keep your tone calm. Not cold, just clear. What this question does is pierce through the fog of guilt. It puts their words under a spotlight. If they truly believe relationships are transactional, they'll say yes, and reveal a lot about their mindset. If they backtrack, you've just helped them realize they crossed a line. Either way, you stay grounded in your dignity. Toxic people often twist your words. You say one thing, and they spin it into something ugly. When that happens, and it will, a powerful question to ask is, "Can you repeat back to me what you think I said?" This one stops manipulation in its tracks. If they're twisting your meaning, they'll fumble. If they're being honest, they'll clarify. You're not accusing. You're asking for clarity. And that keeps the door open for honest conversation, or, if needed, for a graceful exit. Let's not forget the classic tactic of creating drama, trying to drag you into someone else's problems or stir up resentment. When you sense this happening, try asking, "Is this really about me or something else?" Toxic people thrive on confusion. They stir the pot and hope you'll take the bait. But this question slices through the noise. It sends the message: "I'm not here to play games. Let's talk truth, or let's not talk at all. There's a quiet confidence that comes with age, the kind of confidence that doesn't need to yell or prove a point. You've already lived through enough battles. You've earned the right to pick your piece over proving yourself. And asking the right questions isn't about being clever. It's about being wise. It's about protecting the space you've spent years building, your mind, your health, your energy. Sometimes, the strongest move isn't to fight back, but to step back. To take a breath, look someone in the eye and ask, "Is this conversation helping either of us?" That simple question can stop a shouting match before it starts. It's not confrontational. It's invitational. It invites them to rise, or it reminds them they can leave. And either way, you remain unshaken. Remember, you are not here to fix broken people. You are not responsible for their bitterness, their drama, or their need to control. What you are responsible for is your response, your peace, your joy. And these questions, they're not weapons. They're shields. They're tools. They give you just enough space to stay calm when the world around you is trying to stir the pot. So, if someone in your life tries to pull you into their negativity, whether it's a toxic sibling, a neighbor who gossips, or even an old friend who can't seem to let go of bitterness, try asking a question. Not to challenge, but to invite reflection. Not to escalate, but to elevate. It's your life, your time. And at this stage, every day should be a day of peace, not battle. There's a certain power in quiet strength. When you reach a point in life where you no longer feel the need to argue just to prove you're right, that's freedom. That's wisdom. And that's exactly the energy we're stepping into with these questions. They're not meant to spark a fight. They're meant to end one before it even begins. Let's say you're dealing with someone who always plays the victim. No matter what happens, they somehow twist the story to make themselves look helpless, and everyone else look like the enemy, including you. It's emotionally exhausting. But instead of getting caught in their web, pause and ask, "What would you like me to do about this?" This question works because it gently puts the responsibility back in their lap. If they want you to feel guilty, they'll hesitate. If they just want to vent, they'll probably say so. And if they're trying to manipulate you, you'll know. Because they won't have a clear answer. You're not being cruel. You're being clear. There's a difference. Now let's talk about the people who love to gossip. Maybe you're sitting at a family gathering or a neighborhood dinner, and someone starts throwing shade at someone who isn't even there to defend themselves. Here's what you can do. Look at them calmly and ask, "Would you be saying this if they were in the room?" That question cuts deep, but it's not cruel. It forces them to face their own behavior, and it reminds everyone present that dignity still matters. As someone who's lived long enough to know that words can wound deeper than fists, you're simply standing up for integrity without raising your voice. Toxic people often assume you'll stay silent because you're polite. They mistake your grace for weakness. That's why this next question is one of my personal favorites. Do you think that's a kind thing to say? You don't need to explain yourself or get angry. Just ask the question and let it sit. The silence that follows can be louder than any shouting match. Sometimes people are so used to being cruel or careless that they don't even realize they're doing it, until someone like you shines a light on it. And what about those passive-aggressive remarks? You know the kind. Must be nice to have all that free time now. Or, well, some of us still have responsibilities. Comments that sting, but are dressed up just enough to avoid being called out directly. The next time you hear something like that, calmly respond with, "What do you mean by that?" Say it slowly, without a trace of sarcasm. This question works because it calls for clarity, and toxic people hate being exposed. They want to throw the dart, not be asked to explain it. But you're not here to let things slide anymore. You've earned the right to live in peace, and peace starts with boundaries, quiet, firm, and steady. Sometimes a toxic person will try to control the entire conversation. They interrupt, they talk over you, or they push their opinions like gospel. And if you dare to speak your mind, they get defensive or even hostile. In those moments, instead of raising your voice or shutting down, try saying, "Are you willing to hear my side of this?" It's a respectful question, but it also tests the waters. If they say yes, you've created an opening. If they say no or mock you, then you know you're dealing with someone who isn't interested in connection, only control. And once you see that, you're free to stop trying. It's a beautiful thing to reach a stage in life where your time, energy, and peace are more valuable than proving a point. You're not here to win debates. You're here to live fully, with joy, dignity, and calm. And part of that life means knowing when to speak, how to speak, and just as importantly, when to step away. One of the simplest, yet most powerful questions you can ask when someone is trying to stir up trouble is this: is this conversation necessary? Because sometimes it isn't. Sometimes they're just trying to fill the silence with noise or shift their own discomfort onto you. And asking that one question, gently with calm, reminds both of you that not every moment needs to be an argument, a lecture, or a complaint. You've probably noticed by now, none of these questions are meant to attack. They're meant to interrupt a cycle, to stop toxic patterns in their tracks and invite a better way forward. But even if the other person refuses to rise, you don't have to sink. You've earned the right to stand in your peace. Not by shouting, not by proving. Just by asking the right question, at the right time, and letting your quiet strength do the rest. Sometimes that strength is found in a simple, steady voice that says, "I don't have to let your chaos become my storm." And that, my friend, is the kind of wisdom that only comes with experience. You didn't live this long just to be dragged down by people who don't know how to treat others with care. You're not here to fix them. You're here to protect yourself, to honor your time, and to live the next chapter of your life lighter, clearer, and stronger than ever before. By now, you've probably started to feel it. That shift, that sense of quiet control returning to you. It's amazing what happens when you stop reacting and start responding, not with anger, but with calm, clear questions. These little moments of clarity have a way of bringing you back to yourself, back to your strength. And we're not done yet. Let's talk about one of the hardest situations. When someone close to you, maybe even someone you love, treats you in a way that chips away at your joy. They might not yell, but they know how to guilt you. How to make you feel like you're never doing enough, or like you're always the problem. When you feel that pressure building, try asking this: does it seem like you're trying to make me feel guilty right now? You don't have to say it with heat or hurt, just honesty. This kind of question is powerful because it holds up a mirror. It brings their hidden tactics into the light. And when things are brought into the light, they lose their power. Now, sometimes, no matter how kind or thoughtful you are, a toxic person will still try to make you feel small. They might say things like, "You wouldn't understand," or "You're too sensitive." And when they do, here's what you can say: would you speak to someone else the way you're speaking to me? This question is especially powerful for seniors because it demands respect, not through force, but through self-worth. You're not asking for special treatment. You're reminding them, and yourself, that your years have value, your voice has weight, and you deserve to be spoken to with dignity. And then there's the situation we've all faced at one time or another. When someone just won't take accountability. They lie, blame, deflect, anything but own their part. You know they're not being honest, But instead of calling them a liar or arguing back, try asking, "What part of this do you feel responsible for?" That one hits hard. It invites honesty and exposes denial. It shows you exactly where they stand and gives you a clear view of whether this is someone you can reason with or someone it's time to distance yourself from. Now here's one that might surprise you. It's soft, but it's strong. When someone lashes out in a way that seems uncalled for, and you sense there's something deeper going on underneath, you might pause and ask, "Are you okay?" You don't say it sarcastically. You say it with heart, because sometimes toxic behavior comes from pain. And while you're not responsible for healing anyone else's pain, sometimes this one gentle question can crack through the surface. It can open a space where something real might finally be shared. And if it's not, then you still walk away with your grace intact, knowing you didn't fight fire with fire. All these questions, they're like tools in your back pocket. You don't have to use them all the time. Just knowing they're there gives you strength. Because the truth is, toxic people rely on your silence. They rely on your discomfort. They rely on your fear of rocking the boat. But you've lived long enough to know, sometimes the boat needs rocking. Not with rage, but with resolve. And maybe the most important question of all, one you ask yourself, not them, is this: why am I still letting this person have access to my peace? That one's not always easy. It forces us to face what we've allowed, what we've tolerated, and why. But it also opens the door to something powerful, the ability to walk away, to draw the line, to say, "This ends now," not with a fight, but with a choice. You're not here to carry everyone else's baggage. You've done enough of that in your lifetime. This chapter is about release, about protecting the life you've built, about waking up each morning with peace in your heart and clarity in your mind. If no one's told you this lately, let me be the one. You deserve respect. You deserve calm. And you don't have to earn it through suffering. You only need to claim it with a calm voice, a clear question, and a quiet confidence that says, "I'm no longer available for your chaos." So take a moment, breathe deep, and remember, you're not powerless. You're practiced. You've got life experience, perspective, and more strength than you realize. And the next time someone tries to rattle you, you won't need to raise your voice. You'll raise a question. And just like that, you'll shift the entire balance. If this message spoke to you today, take a second to share it with someone else who might need it. Drop a comment below and let us know what question you're taking with you into your next conversation. And if you found peace in these words, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life. Because your best years still have so much to offer. Let's live them with strength, wisdom, and quiet power. Here's to a life where your peace is protected, your voice is heard, and your energy is yours again, fully and completely.